Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 9 of Empowered Hearts, the podcast.
This is gonna be a good one.
It is. We
Hmm.
were having some trouble with the topic on this, so Krystle and I, we riffed a little bit together. Krystle, we had this really juicy idea the other day of a podcast idea, and then it was like, how do we now bring this into layman's terms? Krystle and I
Yeah.
are really big, wide thinkers. That's why I think we really get along. So we have these like massive thoughts, and then we're like, well, how does everybody else understand this now?
Yeah. Let's break it down.
So the title of this one, we've decided it's going to be called How to Accept Change.
Mhm.
And furthermore, how to know when change is the direction that you are actually supposed to take.
Mhm.
Because when things happen in life, it's like, am I supposed to like am I supposed to deal with this situation
Mhm.
that's not going well, or is it time for a change? Like which direction is it? And so
Yep.
today we're going to really anchor in on when you know it's time for that change, how to move towards it instead of
Yes.
away from it, because it can
Yeah.
be very scary.
Yes, it can be. Absolutely.
So why don't you paint the picture for me of a scenario so we can anchor this idea we have floating in the cloud down for people to understand.
Okay. So the first picture that comes to my mind is the person that, maybe had to decide when they were 17 what career path they were taking. So they go to college, they get their academics, and now they're in this job. And they're waking up in the morning feeling exhausted, dreading the day. It's like, oh, I can't wait till Friday. I just need to get through this day. It's like you think about your job and your whole body just contracts. Maybe it's what you're doing, maybe it's the people, maybe it's just lost its spark. And you've tried to find the silver lining. You're trying to see the gratitude. You say to yourself, well, it pays the bills. Like, this job is allowing me to live, but yet you still feel so resistant towards it.
Yeah.
That's the picture that I see.
Well, I mean, if I'm being transparent, this is exactly what I'm dealing with right now in my personal life. Um, and so yeah, it's like, how do you know what when do you stay versus when do you go? Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think another really good one that we've talked about around, like another good story to help people understand where we're coming from, is being in a relationship.
Yep.
So, like you said, like earlier when we were talking privately, like marriage is this
Yep.
forever thing. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say you're married or you're engaged, or let's say you're married, like, and you got together at a point in your life where you two of you were a certain way, and then you grow apart.
Yeah.
It's like, how how do you, like, are you able to come back to each other and weave
Yeah.
together? Because I'm sure, like, relationships, people go apart, and you don't, the second you get apart, you're not like, okay, we'll kick rocks now. Like, there's
Yeah.
gotta be a bit of understanding, or a lot of understanding on both, with both parties, to be like, you got to try everything, you
Yep.
come back to your heart, and it may not come back to where we were,
Yep.
we met, but how can we meet each other now with love?
Yep.
But what happens when that doesn't work?
Yep.
What happens when the job, you're just like, I can't? What
Yep.
happens when a friendship, you're like, I just cannot stand you any longer? And like, let's
Yep.
be frank. Like,
Yeah.
this is how it feels. You're just like, I'm done. When
Yep.
you get to the point of like, I'm done, but then what?
Then what?
Because like we build up the momentum to I'm done, and then
Yep.
I'm done becomes, okay, we're done. But then your whole life collapses around that scenario.
Yeah, because then what's next?
What's next, right? So if we were talking about, let's go back to a marriage or a job.
Yep.
So, I think to help you navigate through this, you have to know first, well, am I taking the easy route out by quitting? Or have I really gone through my gratitude practice with my situation daily?
Let's talk about this for a quick second.
Okay.
Sometimes the easy route is quitting,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Sometimes like we try so hard, like too hard,
Mhm.
to find gratitude, like you said, to still be in that space.
Yep.
Even though the quitting, even though the leaving of the relationship is scary, right?
Mhm.
What things have you tried to find, the silver lining in your situation?
Yeah. Because it can seem like sometimes, well, quitting can sometimes be the easier route, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
think we have to practice major gratitude around something that's not working for us, or we're hitting a wall against, or frustrated about. So I think a really good step, if you're hitting a wall with something, with a situation, with a person, can you first come back to gratitude?
Yeah.
And you be grateful for this experience you have. Like, how is it serving you?
Mm-hmm.
So how is your job serving you? Or how is your relationship serving you? What do you love about it?
Yep.
You got to weigh the pros and cons. It can't just
You
be like
do.
con, I'm done,
Yeah.
because that is giving up versus knowing when
Yes.
you're ready for a change.
I agree. Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Because gratitude does make you see things in a different way.
Yes.
Because like I'm just gonna take mom life, for example, stay-at-home mom life. It is very lather, rinse, repeat in a certain way. Like your days can sometimes feel and look the same. And depending on your mindset, they're either gonna be that was the best day of my life and really you've done nothing different,
Mhm.
or that was one of the hardest days I've ever done. And so finding gratitude can make a big difference.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you wake up and you are taking care of the kids, and you're making food, and you're doing their laundry, and you're
Yep.
cleaning. And
Yep.
yeah, like that, I could see how that could be frustrating. But guess what? You can't quit as a mom. So like, you can't, that's
No,
the
you
one job. I mean, I guess
you
theoretically
can't.
you could, but you can't.
Can't quit. No.
The one job where you're like, so
You
like, you
can't.
better damn well find gratitude and find, your happiness in
You can make changes though.
it.
You
Okay.
can make changes as a mom. It was just I was using the gratitude part as the example. So if you're in a job, is it really hell, or is there, like you said, weigh the pros and cons? Like, what are the pros here? Like, let's lean deeper into the gratitude side of things, because even just doing that can change your entire perspective. That's where I was going
No,
with
no, I
the
know.
mom.
I
I
know.
know. Sometimes, no, I'm not even going to say it.
Say it.
Sometimes you do feel like giving up,
Well, I think
especially if you feel
parts.
like you're not getting anywhere, like, yeah.
But that's again where you have to weigh your pros and cons. Like, is this relationship, situation, job,
Yep.
whatever, aside from being a mom, serving you? Like,
Yeah.
is it serving you at some capacity? And it's like, we can be so quick to focus on the things that we cannot stand
Mhm.
about something.
Mhm.
And like, we can narrow in on that. And, so having a gratitude practice, more than that, like, how is it serving you? Be grateful for how it's serving you.
Mhm.
And on the flip side of it, weigh your pros and cons. So like,
Yes.
so how do you know if you're ready for a change through gratitude? Well, you'll know because if you're rinsing through your gratitude practice daily and
Mhm.
still are more frustrated than seeing good, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to, you can even make a pro and con list, like everything it's serving me, everything it's how it's weighing me down.
Yep.
Go through it. Can you like latch on to what's good about it? But I feel like how you will know if it's not is there'll be like, for me, it's a gut feeling. It's
Yeah.
mm, you couldn't pay me $900,000 to do this. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what I think at this point, it's like when something is not meant for you and it's meant to change,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter the pros, they'll never outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
It won't matter. So
Yeah.
that's a really good way to weigh on
Mhm.
which way do I go, right?
Yeah.
But we can't just give up flippantly because it's hard.
Mm-mm, because then everything is gonna feel hard.
Well, then I mean everything is hard and we have to challenge
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mhm.
In my yoga practice today, the teacher was like, it's great being comfortable. It really is. But who are you when things are challenging? What do you learn when you're being challenged? And
Mhm.
how can you take that piece that you're learning into everyday life? And I was like, that's a really good perspective shift.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, because like who likes to hold the really uncomfortable pose where
Well,
your body is completely burning and you're like, I give up, and you just let it go.
but it's like, okay, but what are the things like, for instance, she's putting us in chair pose like 900 times.
Yeah.
Which is not easy. Like,
No.
so you could be like, well, this is hard, I'm giving up. Or you can
Yep.
be like, I'm in chair pose, I'm going to breathe. It's hard, but it's temporary. But the
Yep.
positives are that I'm getting through it, that I'm sweating my rear end off, that I'm
Yep.
in this class. It feels good. There's a sense of accomplishment, right?
Mhm.
If you were in
Mhm.
chair pose and your knee was about to give out, well, that's when you weigh on it of like, maybe
Mhm.
it's time to sit down. And you know what? You didn't give up, but you
Take a
weighed
rest.
cons, you know?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
like, oh, well, maybe I'm going to change postures, just like maybe I'm going to change this job in my life or this relationship because,
Yep.
well, my knee's about to give out. So
Yep.
it's like, it doesn't matter how great the yoga practice is. If your knee's literally bleeding and going to give out, you got to know when to sit down.
Yep. I agree. Absolutely.
So let's talk about like when we hit a wall. Like, let's give
Okay.
people, because I'm sure everybody knows, like, when do you hit a wall? Like for me, like I said, it's a gut feeling of like,
Mhm.
you could not pay me all the money in the world and still it's just like not for you.
Yep.
What are some ways for you when you know it's like it's a no and you know it's time to change something?
I feel like when I've exhausted all options, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a like let's give up and throw the towel in until I've literally tried everything.
Okay, so let's say
Yeah.
as a job, like
So,
or
ok-
your marriage. I don't know if you feel comfortable with that, or like give me an example.
well, we can take accountability for our actions. So let's start with how am I caring for myself?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like is it a me thing? Is it am I taking care of my mind, body, and soul? Am I getting lots of sleep? Or am I like completely depleted in that area of my life and it's making everything else feel harder? Also,
Yeah.
we are not responsible for other people. So we can't project, you know, like this is going to sound really awful. We can't project the way that we feel onto other people into a certain degree,
Yeah.
to a certain degree. So it's taking that accountability for ourselves and like, what are we doing for us to make us feel better? Will that change the situation?
Yes.
Right? Have I,
It's a fine line between
there is a fine line.
like your no, like it's actually the other person's actions versus
Yes.
am I projecting how I feel onto them? There's a fine, fine line. And you
Yeah.
have to be so real with yourself.
Hmm.
Like you said, have I done everything self-care wise? Am
Yep.
I showing up 110%? If
Yep.
I am, and then the situation is still negative. Like that's another really good way how to know when it's time for a
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, because I'm gonna paint a picture quickly. I like to paint pictures because then it feels like it makes sense.
Okay.
So let's say Every Sunday we do self-love Sunday and we drink an entire bottle of wine. And then we have to get up Monday morning and go to work and we hate our job. So is it the action that we're taking because we feel like crap when we wake up Monday morning and we don't like our job? Or is it actually the job?
Right. That's a good point. It's like, are you coming to it, yeah, hungover?
Yeah, because
Or
nothing feels good hungover.
no, or is the job just draining your soul? So you have to
Yes.
be really honest with yourself,
Yeah.
and you gotta give 110% of yourself, be brutally honest before you throw in the towel.
Mm-hmm. Is the space that you're in toxic? Like, is it like unhealthy for you to be in? If it is, that would probably be a time for change.
Yeah, or also, have you maybe been to therapy about whatever issue?
Yes.
Have you, like,
Support.
that's another option to exhaust, or have you consulted with a mentor, somebody who's,
Yeah.
somebody like you who's like a woman's mentor?
Or you, who's
Yeah.
also an empowerment mentor.
Or like,
Mhm.
yeah, like, have you talked to somebody? Have you gotten
Mhm.
real with yourself? Have you done some practices around maybe the shadow work
Mhm.
around the subject? Like, and if you have you done anything like physically? And when I say physically, I mean outwardly, to
Mhm.
try to assist change.
Yes.
So have you spoken to your partner or your boss or your employees, or like
Mhm.
whoever you are in this scenario? Have you done anything to assist the change, or are you just
Mhm.
festering on the inside and being like, well, this isn't working and blah, blah, blah. And I've, went to therapy about it, and I was not hungover today and I'm still pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Then I think the next step would be, can we talk to somebody about it? Like, can we try to
Mhm.
like, what's the word I'm looking for? Can we try to cultivate change?
Yes.
No? And then if we have, and that doesn't work, can we come back to the gratitude list?
Yep.
And then if that doesn't work, it's like those, I guess those are all the options to exhaust.
Mhm.
Then you've hit a wall.
Yes.
That is when I would say you've hit a wall, and you have to look at, well, do I leave? And if I
Mhm.
leave, like, who will I be then? What is the reason for me leaving,
Yep.
whatever scenario you're in? And if it's for your inner peace,
Mhm.
I think that it's warranted for a change.
Yeah, I agree. And both you and I have real life examples of this. We've walked through it
Hmm.
multiple times.
Yep. It's it's not easy. Like, throwing the towel in with something is,
Mhm.
it may seem like the easier choice,
Yeah.
but then when you go and do it, you're like, oh, well, now, but I live with my partner, but like I go to this job every day, but that's my
Mhm.
boss, or like these are my employees. Like, let's say if you're firing somebody or you're leaving a group, like a friendship group or whatever, you're like, now our ego is like having a freak out.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I don't think we think about this because we're so wrapped up with the scenario that we're not aware that our ego is literally going to have a meltdown the second we leave.
Yep. It's so true. And
So
that's honestly the harder part.
yes,
I think that that's what paralyzes people from changing. And they often stay in scenarios too long because they accept it as reality. And like we've talked about this is real life. Suck it up. Life is hard. Like they feel like they have to settle. And
yeah,
it's not true. Like we always have a choice. And sometimes the choice can feel easier than what comes next.
yes. But I mean, I think if you've exhausted all options and you've hit a wall and you
Yep.
know that it's time for a change, then it's time for a change, and be brave
Yes.
and do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen to your soul. Your soul won't lie to you. And how you know it's your soul talking and not fear is if you exhaust all your options, if you are grateful, if you are
Mhm.
doing everything on your own and coming up to the situation with 110%.
Mhm.
And if your soul is still like pulling at you to be like, something's off,
Mhm.
that's when you know you're meant for a change versus,
Mhm.
oh, this is hard, I don't like it, right?
Yep.
Out of a fear response. It's rather your soul being like, we've got to move elsewhere. We've got to make a change. And it'll be subtle, right? Because the soul speaks to you and intuition speaks to you and like subtly. It won't be your mind being like, but what if this and da da da, and how am I going to do this? And why is this happening? And blah, blah, blah. It'll be like, you can't be here.
Mhm.
I can't handle this anymore. We need to leave. It'll be very like, for me, it's like low guttural sentences that are short,
Yep.
like phrases, just like da da da,
Yep.
time to go.
Yep. Time to go. And you can lean into it and you can be like, if I left this job, what would the first initial feeling be? Would it be relief? Would it be like an exhale? Would it be like, oh, like I can breathe? Not the mind where it's like, well, what would we do? What would we do next?
Yeah.
Like, I'm too scared. I can't, like, that part. It's like, how would it feel to you to take that next step?
Yeah. That's a good point. And so, like, when Krystle and I originally wanted to, for this podcast,
Mhm.
we wanted to call it how to know when the grass is like, sometimes the grass is actually greener on the other side.
Yep.
And it's like the
This is
grass,
how I'd paint it. I'm going to paint a picture.
go ahead.
Okay, let's say that you wanted a lawn and you just threw sod down. Okay,
Yeah,
and you are watering this sod. Well, the sod isn't rooted. So sometimes when you make decisions that don't have a solid foundation, there's nothing supporting it. It's like an impulse decision. So then you feel like you're in this scenario where okay, I'm gonna find the silver lining. So I'm gonna water, 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 water. But sometimes the grass is already dead. Like you're not bringing it back to life,
yeah.
right? So then it's like, it's okay to restart. It's
Mhm.
okay to lay down fresh soil and plant grass seed and nourish it and fertilize it. Because when you're doing that, when you decide to make a career change and you take the steps needed, or you decide to leave a toxic relationship because you want a healthy one, so you do some healing, you have a better foundation.
Yeah, you got to rip up that old dry
The sod has to
grass,
come out
like
and you
get it
need
out
to
of there.
plant the seeds so that they have nice deep roots, and then water your lawn.
That's such a good analogy, because like water, the saying is, well, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's green where you water it. And
Yeah.
that is true.
Yes.
It is true, but there is a time and a place when that is not true anymore. And
Yes.
we really wanted to bring light to that like we don't want to pretend that like gratitude lists and all these things are always the answer. They are for sure the answer. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But when that doesn't work, you got
Yeah.
to rip up that grass. Like you got to
Yeah.
rip it up. You got to
Yeah.
till the soil, like you said, you got to do the
Mm-hmm.
work. And I don't, I'm not promoting people leaving their marriages, right? Or like F off from
sometimes
your day
sometimes
job.
you sometimes it's warranted.
Yeah, like sometimes it's warranted. And
Yep.
I don't think it's healthy that people stay in things that are unhealthy because they're
This
scared.
is it. It's like a permission slip that, if your space that you're in is unsafe, if it's not
Right,
supporting you as a soul, as a human, as a person, then this is when we really want to look at it and remember that you are not stuck,
right.
right? Like you
We're
can
not
change
stuck.
at any time. You can go back to school at any time. You can, like, you're never too old. You're never nailed to anything.
You're never too far gone. And it can feel that
No.
way because our ego has an attachment to things.
Yeah.
Somebody at my gym the other day was telling me that his friend who'd worked at a company for like 20 years. 20 years. Imagine being at a job. I literally I can't even imagine being at one job for 20 years aside from my own business helping people. That is the only thing I
Yes.
can imagine. But
Yes.
imagine you had a role as like managing, I think it was like managing Bell Canada or something.
Okay.
She was this HR or something, HR, let's just say. And at 20 years, they laid her off. She's like, I don't know
Silly.
my identity. I like took that story in and I was like, oh my God. Like I could not imagine because
Yeah.
your ego, like that's it becomes who you are, right? So it's like then what? And I think by being at these jobs or in these relationships that we maybe haven't fully explored ourselves yet,
Mm-hmm.
sell ourselves short,
Yeah, we do.
you know? Because
Yeah.
if all we ever are is the HR for Bell Canada, like that sounds like it probably was such an important role for her, right? Like she
Yeah.
probably felt so supported and so fulfilled, but in reality,
Mm-hmm.
that's not who she is as a soul. There,
Also, like we attach belonging to identity. It's
yeah,
like, well, this is where I belong. And then all of a sudden it's ripped out from underneath your feet. And then you're like, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I belong. Where do I fit?
yeah,
I was a wife for so long. So now what am I?
right. That's
You
a real
know?
point.
Yeah. I can see why that would instill a lot of fear in people. But then also, it is sometimes like the best thing that could ever happen to you because then you get to spread your wings and find out who you are
Yeah,
and what you want to do. And, you know,
it's true. It's like that fear of not knowing who you are can sometimes stall
mm,
the creation of becoming the butterfly of who you are because we're
yeah,
like, well, I don't know if my wings work. And
the
how
caterpillar. Yeah.
or yeah, yeah. Like, so we're like, we're just gonna stay as not the butterfly. We're not gonna become a butterfly because I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
my wings work. I don't know what color they are. I don't know if it's the right then the left or vice versa. Like, does it grow bigger? Like, we don't know. So we're like, that has been personally a struggle for me. Is like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know I haven't known who I was. I didn't gain a sense of identity as a young person because from my knowing is that I had so much trauma that I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up with. So that was my view of life. And then when I didn't have any more trauma to focus on, I never developed who I was. I was
Yeah.
like, well, do you like pink or blue? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Do you like sushi or pizza? I don't know. I like both. Like,
You
I like
can.
all. So a really good tool that I've used if you're having trouble knowing your identity or
Mm-hmm.
understanding who you are, and if you don't know, then go with what you don't like first,
Yes. Yeah.
because you will know what a no is before you'll know what a yes is sometimes, right?
And I walked through this week. Remember? We had a
Yeah.
conversation. I was like, I don't even know who I am. It was the weirdest thing. It was like all of a sudden I was like, I felt so lost. And you're like, okay, well, let's break it down. And breaking it down sometimes and simplifying things and be like, well, what do you not like?
Yeah.
Let's start there. What do you not like?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't know what we like. Like you just said, it's like my brother asked me that one time. He's like, what do you do that you love to do? And I was like, I don't have anything that I love to do. This is a problem. Like I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I
It's
just yeah.
true.
Hmm.
And I think, of course, me being me and me being my Scorpio self is always going to bring it back to some like traumatic thing. But it's like when we've grown up with like
Hmm.
heavy trauma in life or like major stressors, we have learned how to just get by and be fine with things being not
Yep.
chaotic. And,
Settling. Yep.
yeah. And so we're just like, oh, well, it's
Hmm.
not raining today, so it's a good day. And I mean, that is great to have that outlook in life. But if you don't know who you are, if your ego's having a freak out, what are you not? Start.
Yes.
What are
Yep.
you not? I am not a hockey player. I'm definitely not a hockey player. I don't like hockey.
Nope.
And I know saying this from living in Canada, it is a sin, but like I don't like hockey. So that's for sure what I
That's okay.
You know, I'm definitely not a tennis player, but I don't hate tennis, but I hate hockey.
Okay, well, see,
You know,
you're
start
narrowing it
there.
down.
There you go. So that's
Huh.
like really good, if you're confused about what career choice, well,
Mhm.
what do you not want to be?
Yep.
List those things.
Yep.
Um, I really struggle with this. This is something I personally struggle with, is a sense of style. It is like, I think I'm looking very cute today,
Yeah,
but
I love it.
like, this about me, I hate shopping.
Mhm.
Why do I hate shopping? Because it's overwhelming of choice. There's too much choice. There's like
Mhm.
everything is in front of me, and I'm like, this is why I won't go shopping in winters, because there's no sense of direction. It's just stuff. So, like, no, I need it to be like a little boutique store that
Yeah.
is very tailored to like evening wear. Okay,
Yep.
we're going in for an evening look. Okay, one. But if it's like evening and day and beach and flip-flops, I'm just like, no,
It's too
it's
much.
too much for me. So I have to go like, so what I've had to do with clothes is I've had to, and I know this is such a silly thing, but I'm sure other people experience this.
Yeah.
Overwhelming amount of choice. I have to go in with, okay, what color do I want? Okay,
Yep.
I'm going shopping for blues. And then I go and I focus on one thing, because like the overwhelming amount of choice can paralyze me. Like literally, I will just, I mean, I'm neurodivergent, so
Mhm.
that's a very common trait for people who are neurodivergent. Like we have like too many things in front of us, we're just gonna die on the couch.
So when I first left my marriage,
Hmm.
um, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I didn't work at that time. I mean, I had a hairdressing license, but I didn't want to do hair. And so then I was like, what am I going to do with myself? And my mentor said to me at the time, well, like, you kind of got the world by the balls right now. Like, you can do whatever you want. And I'm like, it's overwhelming.
Hmm.
I don't even know where to start. I said to her, I feel like a child that has just walked into the world's biggest candy store. Where do you begin? And so I really love your analogy of like, well, I don't like black licorice, so I will not be getting that.
Yeah,
Right? What do I not want?
yeah.
That's really good. I love that.
Yeah, because if we don't know who we are, it's not like something you can just pick up. It's not
Yep.
tangible, right? It's
Yep.
not like, well, I am this, especially if you're tangible, that tangible part of you has been ripped away of some sort, or you've
Mm-hmm.
chosen to give it away. You're like, okay, I'm throwing in the towel for good reason. Now what?
Now what?
I don't like black licorice. Okay, good. Next step. I don't like pepperoni on my pizza. I do, but I'm just saying. Okay, gotta be like,
Yeah.
simple things on
Simplify.
like help your ego and help your sense of self, like understand again who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's been extremely helpful for me, like since my mom's passed and me moving and all leaving my relationship and stuff, has been like I need exercise in order for my
Mm-hmm.
brain to function
Yep.
properly. So hot yoga has been like my saving grace, because
Mm-hmm.
I know when I go in there, I'm gonna have a good workout. Okay. I don't have to think, I don't have to go in there and think. And I know it's gonna make my back feel better. And so I get like, I didn't realize how much I was gonna love it again. It's been years since I've done hot yoga, like probably 10 years ago. I was in it, and then I haven't done it for 10 years, and now I'm back.
Yep.
So it's like one thing, and then I discovered more things about myself in there. I can
Yep.
practice it, I can do meditation, I can be present. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, right? So it's like take one thing, and if you like it, go with it. But if you don't like it, just don't,
Mm-hmm.
just then leave it and find
And,
something. Instead of
yeah.
here is the new me, it's like, actually, I just like hot yoga.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe like try being open to try new things.
Yep.
Trying to figure out what it is that you do like. Like maybe you love hot yoga, but you decide that you do not like Pilates, or you clearly do not like hockey. So we're not going to try hockey,
Right.
but maybe we'll do like pickleball or something.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't either, but everyone keeps talking about it.
Okay, well,
Like I'm seeing it everywhere now, and I don't know what it is either.
okay, well, we'll Google it, and when I come
We're,
see you, we'll try it out.
we're gonna go try it. Okay, that sounds
Oh,
good.
here's another thing. So I'm going to visit Krystle in July,
Yeah.
and she's like, "We're gonna go golfing," and I was like, And like, I can be funny. So I can like, if I've never tried something, sometimes I immediately have like, I don't like it. Like, oh, I've made this thing up.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't like golf.
I have
But
something to share on this.
go ahead.
Keep going. Okay, so Bella, we're coming home yesterday. Bella's my daughter. She's 14. And she has a horse and she's like coming up with challenges on. And I said, well, just like ask your coach. And she's like, but it really frustrates me that like I don't know. And I'm like, I know, but you're learning. She's like, I don't like to learn. I just like to know. And I was like, that is exactly me.
Really? See, I'm the opposite.
Really? I'm like, I don't want to pick up the guitar because it frustrates me that I don't know how to play it. I just want to know how to do it.
I think the only thing that I feel that way about is my business. I'm like,
Mm.
it cannot work out fast enough. Like, I want to just know it. I want to know how to run a business on my own.
Mhm.
Everything else in life, I don't know if it's because I'm a projector, like in human
Mhm.
design, I could absorb learning and knowledge all day long. I am like,
Yep.
teach me. I'm a forever student. I'm obsessed with being a student.
I'm a learner like you. Like knowledge, yes. But like doing something, it's like I have to be good at it right away.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. This is like me with Zoom. I'm like, the Zoom link is not working.
It's
Like,
not working. I hate this.
yes. So like I get, you know what? I guess you're right. So it's like, well, I don't know how to play golf, so therefore I hate it. But that is my sometimes my poor attitude towards things. And yeah, I got that from my mom, and I will admit it. She was like, "No, that's shit. It's just shit," because she didn't have her ego did not know how to control the situation. It was
Yeah.
shit, and she would say that she'd be like, "That's a piece of shit. That's garbage. No, fuck that." Like she's just so aggressive.
But
Um,
Morgan, like you can drive the golf cart.
yeah, I can, and I might really love it. I just was
Yeah.
you. I'm
No,
not opposed to it. I just was like, when you mentioned that to me originally, that was
you're
my.
just like, oh, I don't golf.
I was like, no, I don't do that.
I'm
But it's
like, but it's so much fun
yeah, and because I trust you and you said that, I was like, okay, fine.
because we don't do it seriously. We don't keep score.
Okay.
Like
Well,
we just
but if I'm winning, I'll be wanting to keep score.
okay. Okay. Oh, that's good.
So we can, if you want, we can wrap this up. I think we've hit
Yeah.
all the points, but I just want to share that if you are throwing in the towel about something, make sure you've gone through, your gratitude practice, how it's serving you, how it's not serving you. And if at the end of the day,
Hmm.
whatever your situation is, has more cons than pros, that's okay. And I
Yeah.
think you're brave if you are going through a change because change is not easy. And
Amen.
I commend you for going through change, whatever
Hmm.
that is. And you know what? Your ego is going to freak out. And if you
Hmm.
don't know what to do, that's okay. Listen to what you don't want to do, and that'll guide you.
Hmm.
Use that guidance system of no's rather than yeses, because your no's will bring you to your yeses.
Would also like to add that if it's scary and you want to seek support, Morgan and I both have one-on-one
Yeah,
sessions. You can reach out to us.
absolutely.
We would love to support you through change, or if you've made the change and that side feels scary, we've both walked through a lot. We have made big life-changing decisions, so we can help shed light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love that, Crystal. All righty. Well, until next time, this is episode 9.
Bye.